Hey guys, welcome to another Football Manager mobile video. In this video I'll be talking about tactics and which tactics you should go with and which you shouldn't, as well as which player roles you should go with and which player roles you shouldn't. This is from my personal experience. There's other Football Manager mobile videos with tactics which might differ from mine, but this is how I go about with tactics in this game, since I've played it a lot and I've had great success with doing well in the game. So first of all, tactical shape. You don't want to go with defensive, contain, or overload. Only use these tactics in special case scenarios where you're such as using overload when you're losing and you want to get back into the game by attacking. Use defensive or contain when you're trying to keep a lead to win a aggregate tie or win a match that's important, where you need to win it. With me, personally, counter and attacking is my two tactics I use, tactical shapes. When it comes to width, use wide when you're using a more wider formation like 3-4-3, or narrow when you're using a formation that doesn't utilize wingers. So here's where you should use narrow with a formation like this, and here's where you should use wide, where it's something like this or this. You want to use it when you don't have fullbacks, when you're wider. Tempo, use fast when you're attacking or counter. With control, you want to do it with slower and normal, and same with balanced. You can use fast, any of these three. With overload, using fast is very important. When it comes to attacking formations, it's better to do discipline because they'll attack, not get too creative. They won't try to mess around too much. That's why I found issues with expressive. You can use expressive still, but it's better to stick to discipline, especially if you want to score goals. So this is the kind of formation I use when attacking, and same with counter. With control, you'd rather use something like this. And balanced, you could just stick to this or this. That's better. With defense, you don't want to go deep unless you're trying to obtain a lead, obtain it. You want to always have a balanced or high line, especially if you're doing control, counter, or attacking. Always use all over and possibly committed when you're doing counter or attacking for tactical shape. Offside Trap works out very well, especially with higher balanced, in the forms of this, or this is how I'd use it. You can use this when you're trying to keep a lead, though, and time waste. For attacking, I'd say look for overlap if you're using inside forwards or inverted wingers. Use early cross, yeah. Look for overlaps better when you're using wingers, but it can work for inverted or inside forwards. Shoot on sight's better when counter or balanced, I'd say. It's better at work in the box while attacking or controlling. Run at defense is better when you're working into the box, while if you're shooting on sight, through ball is much better. So that's how I go about. With passing style, only use short when you're counter, and short or mixed when you're controlling the game. Use direct when you're counter-attacking, and when you're attacking, it's best to use mixed. For passing focus, use both flanks if you're using lots of wingers or fullbacks, such as in a formation that replicates this, where you're going to mainly be playing down the middle because you don't have many midfielders. And then use center if you're using a more narrow formation such as this. So that's my opinion on this. Goalkeeper distribution, unless you're playing tiki-taka controlling, keep it to long or mixed. So now let's get into player roles. When it comes to attackers, you always want a target man or a pressing forward who can keep the ball when you're passing it long. Especially when you're using a 3-man formation. If you're using a one-man formation, it's best to use a pressing forward. But if you're using three-man, keep a poacher and then a central forward or attacking, kind of the form of this or this. When it comes to midfielders, it's better to have always a ball-winning midfielder. You can use central mid, deep playmaker, advanced. I wouldn't recommend roaming playmaker because we have box-to-box midfielder, which does a much better job at that. So use a formation such as this or this for midfielders. When it comes to fullbacks, only use wingers when you have more defenders back, like here, such as that. You don't want to have too much space behind the fullbacks or wingbacks. It's better don't use deep defensive, especially if you're not playing a more defensive way especially with attacking or countering. You don't want to use defensive. Inverted wingbacks can be decent, but stick to these two mainly, at least from my experience. With center backs, you only need really central defender, ball playing, or no nonsense. These two can be quite tricky to implement well. With goalkeeper, if you're counter-attacking or attacking, sweeper keeper is very useful, especially when you're playing a high line, from what I've learned, as they can come out and clear, but you have to be careful with how good your goalkeeper is because they can lose the ball and it's an empty net for the computer. So that's all I have for that. Finally, we'll get into... With these, you don't want to use Catenaccio, Park the Bus, or Route 1. I recommend Gegenpress, Tiki-Taka, Vertical Tiki-Taka, maybe controlled in the counterattacks from personal experience. Also, I'd recommend, if you're trying to create a new tactic, use this as a outlay. Like, if you want to be like, let's say, replicate Jurgen Klopp style football, use Gegenpress, and then you can see here, and then you can just replicate it to make it attack more. You can just switch it up, as you can see. Anyways, this was a quick video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more Football Manager mobile content coming out soon. Have a great day, guys.